This is your job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
There's a lot of noise out there. With a million different views, opinions, and voices, how do you know who you can trust? Local Kansas broadcasters like Kate News aren't just faces on the screen. They live here, work here, and care about what matters to you. Kate News keeps you informed, connected, and safe with news and weather information from your community. Try us over the air, online, or on your device. Kate News, on your side.
In 1945, the original care package inspired people around the world. Today, we're reaching 170 million people in over 110 countries. Because when history repeats itself, so does care. Join at care.org.
The Kansas City Royals saw their 9-game win streak snap Wednesday night at the Toronto Blue Jays in the 3-0 defeat. The offense put up 6 hits just like their opponent, but couldn't come through with runners on base. Randy Dobnak took the pitching loss, giving up 3 earned runs in 6 innings. KC closes out the series this evening at 6:07. Noah Cameron's back on the stump. Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid announced this week that 7th-round pick Garrett Nussmeier will get his first preseason start at quarterback this Friday for the final preseason contest against the Seattle Seahawks. From the Sports Desk, I'm Jacob Zimmerman.
Sports Report brought to you by Burwell Construction. Decks, pergolas, patio covers, roofing, siding, windows, guttering, and more. 316-794-3430 or online at burwellconstruction.com.
This is Wichita's sports station, K230BY, 93.9 FM, 1410 AM, and 99.7 HD3. KGSO, Belle Plaine, Wichita.
Was originally also booked on domestic abuse and felony strangulation charges, which he no longer faces. Seattle Seahawks defensive tackle Leonard Williams agreed to a 3-year, $90 million extension with $56 million guaranteed. The Los Angeles Rams reuniting with receiver Tutu Atwell. They acquired him from the Miami Dolphins for running back Jarquez Hunter. In the National Hockey League, United States Olympic gold medal winning goaltender and 3-time Vezina Trophy winner Connor Hellebuyck has publicly requested a trade from the Winnipeg Jets. Hellebuyck said he privately requested a trade several months ago, but is now going public. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
Broadcasting live from the KGSO studios in West Wichita.
I feel more informed when I listen.
This is The Press Box on Wichita's sports station, KGSO.
The Press Box on KGSO.
All right, Kansas, let's have a little fun here on this Thursday on 1410. 93.9 KGSO in the Renewal by Anderson Studios. Expert installation done right on schedule. Jacob Zimmerman. Sasha Bushka. Give us a call on the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines, 522-1410. Drop your comments over the next 2 hours on the Facebook stream. You got YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Check it all out. The SC Wichita app. KGSO.com. Here is what's in store for the program. We'll talk a little Kansas football, guys, as the Jayhawks have dialed in on a starting quarterback. Finally, Lance Leipold has let the media know who's going to be taking the field for Game 1 coming up September 4th, Friday next week against Long Island University. The Big 12, after our show yesterday, they sort of joined along. Big 10, SEC, the conferences are putting rulings in. Saying no is the headline to pro athletes seeking a return to college sports. Of course, this is in wake of recent stories like Daquan Wright, the tight end, going from the Browns potentially back to LSU. Just another conference there joining the list. Maybe we'll talk a little college hoops today. 100 coaches in the D1 level were polled a few different questions. I think the responses were interesting. We'll get into that. The Royals streak, you heard it in the sports report, was snapped at 9 up in Toronto last night. A little bit of news with jersey retirements from the NBA. Second hour, we continue our series with Big 12 football previews with BYU and Baylor. Maybe we'll play a little Would You Rather before we get out of here today. Sasha Bushka, what's going on, man?
I'm good, man. Excited for the show today. Royal streak snapped, as you said. It's devastating, but maybe they can start another 9-game winning streak tonight.
It felt inevitable. I didn't know they're going to get past the Blue Jays here in the midweek, but you made it to 9.
They got the less than sign back by their name. The less than 0.1% chance to make the playoffs. They're up to a full 0.1, so yeah, it's gonna be tough to sleep at night after that loss for the Royals.
Oh man, we're starting off in a sarcastic fashion here in the press box on KGSO. What are your thoughts? 522-1410 on the Royals winning streak coming to a close. I was seeing a lot of Royals accounts, getting quite hyped up, on Facebook.
Me too.
Twitter. And I know you were out there sort of battling in the weeds, trying to let these Royals fans know that, hey, man, keep your expectations down for this season.
Yeah, doing the Lord's work, just making sure nobody got too hyped up, too excited, just keeping people on an even keel. That's my job out here.
All right, let's go ever so slightly west from Kansas City to Lawrence. And, well, it was, like I kind of said, with the Royals winning streak coming to a close. It was inevitable. Look, we're not going to wait all the way until game day for us to find out the Kansas Jayhawk football team's starting quarterback, but it just about felt like that at a certain point. And sort of throughout the summer, looking at depth charts, Isaiah Marshall did have the advantage, a redshirt sophomore. He had been listed as the 1, but Cole Ballard was the backup. He was the official number 2 to Jalen Daniels this past season. And so I thought maybe Cole Ballard is going to walk in to this season as the starter, but it became official earlier today. Isaiah Marshall, the redshirt sophomore, is your starting quarterback going into the LIU contest. There's still a lot of hesitancy as far as, are we going to see Cole Ballard get a couple of drives? The KU staff has said, hey, we don't want to have an entire season where we have a planned 2-quarterback system, but it may take some time to really have this competition truly be finalized a couple weeks into the season.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I would hope, the best case scenario when you have a 2-quarterback battle like this is that you pick a starter and he's playing the whole game the first game no matter what. If you're alternating possessions that first game, that means nobody really came out and won the job.
Right.
And then obviously you still have your backup in the wings if the starter ever struggles or you need to make a change. But hopefully this means Isaiah Marshall is starting the first game and playing the entire first game unless it gets out of hand, which they do have a weak opponent. So
I'll be honest, kind of thinking back to last year's Week 1 game, Fresno State. You won that one with ease, 31-7. That was actually a pretty good performance. And then the year prior, 2024, I see Lindenwood, that 48-3 wallop. I do think we're going to get a similar finale here as we did back 2 years ago when we kick off the season this year against Long Island. It's at home. David Booth Memorial Stadium. I do think the fans are going to get out there and support, the team with kind of a new iteration starting after Jan Yoltz, a new quarterback going into the system here. You got Kyle Nicky back as OC. There's some fun things, associate head coach, but calling the plays there for the Jayhawks. I think we're going to see Marshall start at least 2 to 3 quarters, but I think this game is going to be out of hand, and I think Ballard, I think there's a high likelihood, in my opinion, that he plays.
He might get in the game, but they're 38.5-point favorites. So, yes, that's fair. But what you hope is that you're that Isaiah Marshall is playing until it's out of hand. And then if the backup gets in late in a game like this, that's to be expected. But what you don't want is that you're having to like alternate possessions early in the season to try to still figure out who your starter is going to be.
Right. I think you really circle week 2 versus 25 currently Mizzou, and you say, all right, you hope this is a game where Marshall can play good enough. This score is close enough to where, he's the guy that you want out, and you're not thinking, hey, should we go to Ballard? Should we bring in a new guy? You have Marshall looking over his shoulder already 2 weeks into the season. So it's certainly a hot topic right now, the Kansas quarterback debate. I was reading some pieces earlier in the week before this came out, kind of breaking down what is the perspective from in-house. And I know passing game coordinator Jim Zabrowski, his words were that Ballard needs to focus on being a little less rigid in his mechanics, but Marshall needs to focus on, quote-unquote, functional intelligence and processing all that information. And so in this article I was reading on KUSports.com, kind of highlighting the imbalance of those comments. And look, you're never really going to kind of give away your opinion or give away like too extreme of these tendencies and talents and strengths and weaknesses from these quarterbacks into the media. But I maybe felt like with that coming out and then hearing today that Ballard was actually nominated a team captain. He's been in that locker room for a little while. I was thinking, look, maybe Cole Ballard can close this gap and make a comeback, if you will, and Isaiah Marshall, kind of the projected starter throughout the summer. Maybe he actually walks into the number 2 spot after a quote like this. But look, sometimes a guy whose floor is a little bit lower, you're willing to live with if his ceiling is through the roof, and that's what they feel like they have with Isaiah Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to sum those quotes up, basically what you're saying is Cole Ballard understands the offense better, and he can execute maybe at a higher level, but Isaiah Marshall's a better athlete, has more talent. And that usually wins out, not always, right? In the NFL, like you want the guy who can run the offense and make the reads and that sort of thing. But it also depends on how big the gap is in each category, right? If Ballard's a little bit better at running the offense, but Isaiah Marshall has a lot more talent, then you're going to go with Isaiah Marshall. And the only way for him to get the experience and get better at running the offense is to play football and to play in games. And so it's also a situation where you might be looking towards, hey, when we get done with non-conference, when we're heading into conference play, if we develop Isaiah Marshall, maybe that's better than what we get heading into conference play with Cole Ballard, who might stay the same through those first 4 games. And so it gives them an opportunity to get Isaiah Marshall better and get him ready to go for conference play. And so they talent won out in this case, at least for now.
And that's a fair way to look at things. Ballard is a year older. He is a redshirt junior, so heading into year 4, and Isaiah Marshall, a redshirt sophomore, heading into year 3 here for the Jayhawks. I do think you have the upside with Marshall that's a little bit more intriguing to me. I think if Ballard's out there, it's a little bit more cookie cutter. I think you can kind of expect what his stat line is going to look like. You may see some ebbs and flows with Isaiah Marshall. I think fans maybe need to brace themselves for maybe some risky throws here, a couple early games into the season. Maybe he's going to have some pick sixes. Maybe he's going to have some fumbles. But I think he will also provide some highlight plays with his legs. I think throwing the ball downfield as well he can do. I was digging up some numbers from him, from what he did in college. In college. He's, of course, in college now. In high school.
High school out in Michigan.
4-year starter at Southfield A&T High School in Michigan. Marshall put up what they're calling video game numbers, guys, in 2023. His senior season looked a little bit like this. He threw for 3,100 yards, 39 touchdowns, while at the same time going for 1,500 yards on the ground and 16 scores there. So you're talking about a guy with 55 total touchdowns in one season as a senior, and even his junior campaign was not too shabby either.
I am not an expert on Michigan high school football by any stretch of the imagination, but my understanding is that he maybe beat Bryce Underwood in a big game in state, or maybe the state finals up there. I heard that somewhere, and Bryce Underwood obviously was the number 1 ranked recruit in his class, and is going into his 2nd year at Michigan now. So that would have had to have been like when Underwood was a junior and Isaiah Marshall was a senior. But anyway, you slice it, like Marshall was a problem in high school. He was a highly rated recruit for Kansas to bring in as a quarterback, and he's going into his 3rd year and he hasn't transferred out. you would have expected him to be starting for KU by now, by his third year with as highly rated a recruit as he was. And honestly, if he wasn't starting for Kansas by now, you'd expect him to see in another uniform next year. And so they're going to see what they have now, right? They brought in a big-time recruit. They're going to see what they have in Isaiah Marshall.
It's not a perfect connection, but there is a world where, based off of the performance of Daniels this past weekend in the Bucs-Chiefs preseason game, and you kind of look at some of the stats and you review the season and you think, well, were last year's struggles with the Jayhawks really all on Jalen Daniels, or was it more of a total team effort? There's a world where Daniels was playing a lot better at quarterback than people realize, and whoever was backing him up was better than you realize. So maybe it's not a fall off in terms of that position. And I honestly think, look, if Marshall's this dual threat guy that we're hearing about, the offense is probably going to look a little bit more fluid. It's going to look like it did last year with Daniels, as we know Daniels is a guy that you want to have take, 6, 7, 8 rushes per game.
Yeah, and Daniels, he was a dual threat. That's true. But I think it was more like, we're going to drop you back to pass. Use your legs if you have to, right? It didn't feel like KU designed a ton of runs for Daniel. Not that they never did. Maybe Isaiah Marshall, they do a little bit more of that, design QB runs or read options, things like that with him. So we'll see how the offense looks with Isaiah Marshall. But, yeah, it should be a little bit more similar to what you had with Jalen Daniels.
I'm looking at the projected starting line here on the offensive side, and it's just redshirt junior, redshirt junior, redshirt junior, redshirt junior, redshirt junior. I think having 4-year guys there at the offensive line really helps out a Marshall. But I think what this means is we knew you were going to have a fresh quarterback, a guy with not a lot of college experience rolling out there day one next Friday. Dylan Edwards needs to have a big role. Like, we know what happened last season with Kansas State, and there was a lot of speculation. Does this guy really want to give it his all? Does he really want to play? I think Dylan Edwards himself, I think he's going to have a lot of doubters. K-State fans are going to be mad at this guy no matter what happens this season. But I think Edwards kind of has a little bit of pressure. I think it's deserved to kind of ask the question, are you ready to take this full load? How are you going to bounce back if you get dinged up a little bit? Like, I think Dylan Edwards, he has a ton of talent. I think he's the most talented player on this offense. I have two things in a balance in here. One, I think there's a necessity to feed him the football. The other is the worry about the long game throughout the entire season. We need him to step up in these big games. It's going to be game one against LIU, so I don't expect his touches to be too high. I think, honestly, he's going to sit out a lot of these second-half snaps here in at least game one, but Dylan Edwards has to be the key. His health this year is supremely important.
Yeah, listen, Dylan Edwards is going to his 4th year in college, right? It's not now or never, right? He could still play college football next year, but it's getting towards the end of the line where you want to see production on the field, like prove what you can do. We've seen flashes, right? We've seen the talent, right? We saw it on the field at Derby High School. We saw it at Colorado at times, and we saw like minor flashes last year at K-State. But this is 4th year in college. He's got to produce in a big way if he's going to live up to the type of player people expected him to be.
We talked a little bit about Arizona and Arizona State yesterday in the 5 o'clock segment. We got day 2 of our Big 12 previews here for the 2026 season coming up shortly. We'll be doing BYU and Baylor today at 5 once again. But Arizona State, we mentioned, hey, that game is overseas. First ever college football game at Wembley Stadium, man. It's going to be sick. That's going to be sick.
It's hosted a bunch of NFL games, so they should know what they're doing over there. But, yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
All right, I will change gears here to, I think, a subject that maybe you like a little bit. It's been getting on your nerves, but it's these conferences getting out ahead of the NCAA, trying to do their best. Look, the SEC, the Big Ten, now the Big 12 last night, saying no to pro athletes seeking a return to college sports. And, of course, timely with the college football season, it basically beginning this weekend. Like, I just think it's too late. I don't blame these conferences one bit to try to do, if you want to label this damage control, awesome. But the conferences feel like, hey, for whatever reason, they need to step up because teams are going to do everything in their power. They're going to bend the rules as much as they possibly can to try to win here in this day and age and recruit talent. But I think you consider here as well the greater good for college football, and I think a lot of teams are reaching out to the commissioner. A lot of coaches, a lot of ADs are giving calls to Brett Yormark and saying, hey, we cannot let a player, who was recently cut from an NFL practice squad come back and play a fifth season. It's a stain. And I brought up yesterday how I thought, maybe the Big 12 received some pressure with the rumors of Brendan Sorsby playing this year for Texas Tech. And I think, you put up enough of a fight, enough people complain, some rules and regulations get put into place, but of course there's an ensuing legal battle that could come after.
I don't know if it's like necessarily getting on my nerves. It piques my interest because like the reason the conferences are having to step in and do this is that the NCAA tried to make these same rules that the conferences are making, but they got sued and lost. And so it makes me question what gives the conferences more power than the NCAA itself.
Fair.
And also from a legal standpoint, if every conference makes the rule, then you could get sued on like collusion factors and things like that. And so, listen, I'm not a lawyer. I guess my question is, though, is like if this works, right? If the conferences do have more power than the NCAA, and if the players can't fight the conferences, and maybe there's just no time to fight the conferences at this point, so it'll work for this season, but you have to look towards the future too. But if this does work and the conferences start winning court battles, then why wouldn't the major four conferences, the Power Four, just say, hey, the NCAA is pretty much useless to us now. They can't make any rules that will ever hold up in court. Let's just do our own thing. We don't really need the NCAA. They're not really accomplishing anything for us anyways. They're not making any rules that stick. Let's create a super league, right, of 64 schools or whatever with a commissioner and 4 conferences, divisions, whatever you want to call them. I'm putting it in air quotes as part of it, and let's play our own football season, and we can make whatever rules we want. And we will set the rules in motion to be able to hold up in court when the time comes.
Look, I think these conferences are starting to get a lot of money, Sasha. That money can be used to hire the top lawyers in the world.
That's fine, but the NCAA has great lawyers too.
I think, hey, you got the Monster Energy sponsorship. Put that money to good use. Don't let these players from NFL come back and play college football. Same thing with NBA, G League, back to college basketball. It's sort of a mess here. I understand the players wanted to play, but
I hear what you're saying. The reality is when conferences get money, they pretty much just distribute it out to the institutions. But you could create a war chest, right? Like, hey, we're going to lower our distributions and keep some money in-house for legal fees down the line. Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years?
This just feels like one big bad dream. All right, let's go to the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines. Thanks for calling into the press box. How are you?
Hey, Jay-Z.
What's up?
What up?
Much. Do you think do you want to see a big Super Conference League?
I think like for football, it would essentially not change anything, right? Like the Power Four are the only ones who are competing on a level playing field, anyways, and it would clean things up, right? Make it so they could have rules, have a commissioner, everybody plays on the same field. So like I think it may work for football. I don't know what that does to the college basketball landscape, though. And obviously, as a Wichita State Shocker fan, I worry about college basketball because that's what Wichita State competes in. And if you have these conferences split off for football, then they might just say, hey, this is our 64-team basketball league too. And that leaves a bunch of good basketball programs out of the Mountain West, the Gonzagas of the world, the Big East of the world, a lot of whom don't have football programs, kind of sitting out here on the side like wondering who they're going to play basketball against if these 64 are in their own little division. So I do wonder how that will play out. Maybe football makes its own leagues, and then they just say, hey, NCAA, just worry about basketball and the Olympic sports and everything else, and we'll take care of football. And maybe that's the easy solution to everything.
Yeah, I do agree. And there's a lot of good non-conference teams in the football. Like North Dakota just came in.
Yeah.
And
Dakota, I don't even think deep down these conference commissioners truly even want to break away from the NCAA. It seems like an absolute hassle, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more of a threat, right? It's more of a threat just to try to get you what you want. And so I don't necessarily blame it. You gotta pull out all the stops in certain situations, but I think some folks maybe feel like it's inevitable that we see, the SEC and Big 10, maybe Big 12 breakaway. I don't think it's going to happen in the near future.
To me, though, I don't think they're threatening the NCAA because for the most part, the NCAA and the conferences want the same thing. The NCAA is just not doing a good job of accomplishing that for the conferences. All the rules that the NCAA is putting in place, the conferences agree with. It's the court rulings that the conferences are upset with and have to step in for. And so I think if they broke away, it wouldn't be like, hey, we're so sick of the NCAA, we got to break away from them. It's like the NCAA is neutered. It can't accomplish what we need from a athletic perspective any longer. We have to break away to save our sport.
And it sounds like conversations need to happen with the higher-ups in the NCAA and people who are involved in the government, right? State-wise.
Yeah. The reason they keep losing in court is because the laws aren't in their favor, antitrust and things like that. So you have to get Congress involved. Congress has to make a law that you can win in court because this law is in place. And so now the judges have to rule in your favor. That's the only way to solve this and keep the NCAA in place.
That's all.
All right. Thanks, Dakota.
Appreciate Dakota. You
Good
are
question.
the man. All right. We'll bring things back on the other side. We kind of almost connected the dots with college football and college basketball in that discussion. So we'll lead you to college hoops. D1 coaches have been asked a couple of key questions. Best team this upcoming season, maybe best player. What do you think of the fifth-year guys? There's some juicy content in there, so we'll bring it to you on the other side. Talked a little bit about Isaiah Marshall. He's the starting quarterback for the Kansas Jayhawks. Week 1, Big 12, saying no to the pros. We'll be back here on the Press Box.
Call the Press Box now on the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines at 522-1410.
The Press Box on KGSO.
Want to hear more of KGSO? Don't forget to download our app today. Fill out weekly surveys, register to win great prizes, listen live, message our shows, and so much more. Plus, get reminders of special programming and games you don't want to miss. Just find SC Wichita in your app store and make KGSO your new favorite app. It's Wichita's Sports Talk, right on your phone. Download the SC Wichita app today with Wichita's sports station, KGSO.
Warmer weather is finally here, and that means cookouts,
ball games,
and maybe enjoying some time on the water.
But it also means lots of heavy food, sweets, and maybe an extra adult beverage or two. Thank goodness we both take Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All the things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted natural ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Active Liver helps us enjoy the good things in life with peace of mind that our liver isn't working overtime. Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, and you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Tushy. It's made by angels, soft and strong, budget friendly. The choice is simple, a roll that feels like paradise, and always at a heavenly price. Angel soft, soft and strong, so it's simple.
Pick up a pack today.
Angel soft, soft and strong, simple.
Football is here, and we are all excited to celebrate at Quincy's Bar and Grill. Quincy's Bar and Grill is packed full of TVs, so you won't miss any of the action of your favorite team.
Whether it's college or the NFL,
you can catch it all at Quincy's Bar and Grill, the longest-running sports bar and grill in Wichita. While you're there, grab a cold one with friends or grab something to eat from the great Quincy's Bar and Grill menu. Thursday through Sunday, you can catch your favorite football team at Quincy's Bar and Grill, 2047 Northwest Street, and online at quincy'sofwichita.com.
Wichita's sports leader, KGSO, is brought to you by Devon James. Devon James Injury Lawyers. Call 888-8888.
That's 888-8888.
Who's your favorite team? It's okay. We just know you love KGSO.
Said the rain was falling all around, but you rolled my windows up for me. Didn't want to wake me from the slumber I was in. Instead, you just let me be. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with that, baby.
Welcome back to the Press Box on KGSO. Call the show 522-1410 on the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines. Drop a comment on Facebook if you wish. Devin's got one. Devin, you've been obsessed with these NFL owners, man. I can't blame you. York, 49ers owner, would rather spend money on some trailer park woman than a left guard. Let that sink in. Look, the Niners need a lot of help, man. That depth is not what it used to be. Everyone's getting dinged up. Everyone's old. Is this the year the Niners fall off? I mean, you had the Shanahan distractions earlier here this summer. I wonder what his reaction was the news with Mr. York, the owner there. But I think Niner players are probably fed up with this.
I'm just going to throw this out there. And this is not to throw shade at Devin, because I think he knows that I know this. And it's okay, Devin. I love the participation, but all of these comments I've seen over the last couple of days about like various things in the news, they're memes I've seen other places. So he's throwing the live content, the meme content into our show, which I appreciate. It's a good way to get us into the conversation about them.
You started negative and then you spun it into a positive. We'll take it, Devin. We'll take it. All right, looking at some news that's come from the college basketball world. 100 D1 coaches got candid and were polled on a couple of different questions leading into the upcoming 26-27 college basketball season. Let's start with the hot topic. Do you support 2026 seniors getting a fifth year? And I'm a little surprised by the results. Most of these... not quite unanimous, but they kind of had an ideal player in mind, an ideal team in mind for these other questions. But this one was pretty 50-50 split. 58% of the polled coaches said yes, they support 2026 seniors getting a fifth year, while 42% said no. I would have guessed this would have been flipped the other way around, maybe 60-40 saying no, 40% saying yes. I think it's a little bit of a hassle. I do think there is a fair argument to be made as far as, hey, you were done. By all accounts, you were headed to play overseas basketball or maybe try to go and make a G League roster, Summer League, this or that, and then you found out after you had already graduated, hey, there's a ruling, maybe I get a fifth season. And so I can see the coaches saying, well, that's going to be my perspective. The other side is, look, these coaches, they're always looking to improve their roster however they can. And if they say no here, they don't want somehow their name to come out as far as, oh, they said no, but this was anonymous. But I do think coaches wanting more players is not necessarily a surprise to me either, but how coaches dislike change in college sports, as we saw Dusty May allude to a couple weeks back, I was a little surprised by that.
I think it actually it's a little less complicated than you made it out to be. They're looking at it pragmatically, which is like, because I was originally against all of this as well, but what they're looking at is like everyone before them got a COVID year, everyone after them got a 5 to play 5. So you're basically singling out this one class of kids and saying you get 4 years to play college basketball, everybody else gets 5 years. And so that's the way I think some of these coaches are looking at it, is like it was kind of unfair to the class of 2022. And really, why didn't somebody at the NCAA think of that when they made the rule and just say, yeah, they can play, instead of like making this into a court battle? But it is a court battle now.
And you do feel bad for the players who are trying to get a 5th season. You do, right? Because they get to miss out, as you allude to. Your peers, pretty much in any other classification, got to play 5 seasons this decade. And so that's very unfortunate. I just know with how close we are to the season and a lot of these rosters that were already finalized before this ruling came out, maybe you're going to have coaches just said, you know what, I don't want to open up this can of worms here.
Right. And the coaches know no matter how they answer this, it's not going to change what happens. So I don't think they're worried about it from that perspective. But, yeah, and also it's not just like the class of 2021 got a COVID year, because 2021 was the official COVID year. Even though they played a full season, they just didn't count the eligibility towards anyone because it was a little sporadic. But it's not just that class that got it. It was anyone who was in the class of 2018, 19, 20, even some 2017s that were still in college at that time didn't have that year count against them. So really, you're looking at like 7 or 8 years, like 6 years worth of players that have gotten the extra year and everybody moving forward. So that's kind of the rationale, I think.
All right, here's an interesting question. Who is the best high major coaching hire of the 2026 cycle? So coaches who are now going to be going into their first season. Here are a couple of candidates who did not win. This was a close finish for the number 1 spot. Will Wade to LSU got 3% of the vote. Justin Gainey to NC State, 3%. Casey Alexander did get his name written down at K-State, 2%. Boston College's Luke Murray got 2%. But then you sort of work your way up here a little bit. Brian Hodgson, straight from South Florida, who we talked about a lot last season. He's headed to Providence, 8% of the votes. Michael Malone to my UNC Tar Heels. He got 16%. But there is 2 who stand amongst the rest of the crop. Who's the best high major coaching hire the 2026 cycle, voted on by 100 D1 coaches? Currently, Randy Bennett just edges out Gerard Calhoun, as Bennett's going to Arizona State and Calhoun is going to Cincinnati. 32% to 30% for Randy Bennett getting the victory. Randy Bennett, this is what he did at St. Mary's, by the way. He won. He was at St. Mary's forever, to be honest with you. He was there from 2001 all the way to 2026. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so in that stretch, he was a consistent 25-plus game winner.
Yeah, and I think he probably saw the writing on the wall with Gonzaga leaving the West Coast Conference that, like, it's not going to be what it was, and St. Mary's is going to be an even tougher place to win than it was before. And so he moves on to Arizona State, puts another really good coach in the Big 12, and that's the interesting fact here. The top 2 vote getters in this are both coming to the Big 12, right, with Arizona State and Cincinnati in what was already a really stellar basketball conference. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And then at Calhoun, he was at Utah State. You heard a little bit about what was happening there in Logan, Utah. Look, Utah State went 29-7 this past season. They were first in the Mountain West, which is a respectable conference in college hoops. They won a tournament game. They made it to the round of 32. They had made it to last year's tournament as well in 2025. So I think when you go back-to-back in the tournament at Utah State, your phone's going to get called, and Cincinnati, a good spot for him to go be the next coach of the Bearcats. But let's mention a little bit of Brian Hodgson, just to kind of remind the folks a little bit. South Florida was dominant last season, and it was kind of, South Florida leading the pack in the American, and then Wichita State sort of caught up heading into the conference tournament, and South Florida was the one. I think we were technically
We were the 2 seed.
The 2, but Tulsa was close.
We were tied with Tulsa in the record, but we had the 2 seed. That's why we got the double bye.
So we
triple bye.
Yeah, we then face off against the Bulls, and South Florida ends up having a terrific second half. I think they won 70-55, and they advanced to the NCAA tournament, and they were even an 11 seed. Look, I think South Florida was a hot pick. They were talked about nationally as one of those teams that was going to get in. Any projection you saw really related to the American, how South Florida making it. South Florida was maybe even in bubble considerations if they didn't beat Wichita State. And so Hodgson's a guy I think he deserved the call up. And I remember he's a character, Sasha. When I typed in his name here to Google, the first thing that comes up is Brian Hodgson, wife. And if you remember at his introductory press conference, I don't remember the exact quote, but he shouted at his wife, and a lot of people were like going to social media to find his wife, but he seems like a good guy.
Well, it was a quote on whether he could recruit or not. If you don't think I can recruit, you just look at my wife, right? And that's kind of a showstopper, like mic drop quote, like, come at me because I was a better recruiter than most people picking up my wife. And so I respect it. And Brian Hodgson was a really good coach for USF last year. I think Providence, and he's from that area too. It's kind of a hometown job for him. And whenever you can get a guy like that at a school like Providence, it's a good move because Providence isn't. It's in the power structure, but it doesn't mean it's the last job a guy's going to take. Like, you could still move up from Providence and take another bigger job. When you get a guy who's got ties to your area, there's a better chance that if they do really well, that they're happy to stay there and stick long term. And so I think that's a good move as well.
I'm maybe not surprised that Michael Malone didn't win it. I thought he would get a little bit a larger portion of the vote here. I don't think as well, like, these college coaches are necessarily spending their time, even in the summer, watching the NBA in any capacity. But there's respect for Michael Malone going to the UNC Tar Heels. Look, an NBA champion.
I mean, yeah.
Very recently in 2023.
16% still a decent number.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. 100 coaches, so 16 of them.
I mean, he's behind 2 guys who've had a ton of success in college basketball.
Yeah.
And so I think that takes precedence over NBA success when you're talking about coaching a college team.
Coaching X's and O's for sure. I think recruiting, having the NBA tie is an advantage, but you kind of look at the Denver Nuggets now. The Denver Nuggets stock heading into this upcoming season is a lot lower than it was a few years back. And of course, roster changes have a lot to do with that, but I don't know if Adelman has really proved to be marginally better than Michael Malone, who was there all the way back to 2016. He took the core that was Jokic and MPJ and Jamal Murray and won a title with them. I think he's very accomplished, and players know that Michael Malone's he's a guy who's not afraid to talk.
Yeah.
What. I mean, he's called out a lot of people after winning his title. He was calling out LeBron James. And so, look, I think Malone is a guy who you kind of want as the personality leading the locker room as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a really good chance that Michael Malone can do a good job at North Carolina. But when you compare him to the 2 guys ahead of him on this list, I just think they are known entities in college basketball. We've had a lot of NBA coaches come to college basketball. Well, I mean, I don't know how many, but going either way, from college to pro or pro to college, it doesn't always work. If you're good at one, it doesn't mean you're good at the other.
Most often,
the other 2 guys are
work.
known entities. So, yeah.
All right, and then the last one here, K-State's Casey Alexander. We've, of course, talked about him a good amount this year, but coming over from Belmont, guys, he won 20 games every year when coaching Belmont. They didn't make the tournament, of course, in 2020 because it was canceled, but they were looking like a formidable foe. They were 26-7 that season, and then they went 26-6 this past year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Belmont was not in the MVC when, of course, the Shockers were, but it's a familiar conference, and you have success there. You do it for 7 straight seasons, essentially. You're going to get the call up, and K-State, a program very much in need of a new direction.
Yeah, I think Casey Alexander, I think the hire itself was well received by K-State fans. I think right now there's some pause just because of the recruiting class he brought in. It seemed, and it may not be his fault, it may just be the resources, but it was underwhelming, the level of talent they brought in compared to what they've been bringing in the last couple of years. So I think fans are kind of in a wait and see, like, yeah, I think the guy can probably coach, but if we don't have the requisite talent to compete in the Big 12, it's not going to help us. And so fans are kind of wanting to see how it goes.
But I think what's always been true about college basketball is sometimes you can get away with a guy who's not quite as talented if he fits your system. And I think a couple of Belmont transfers will help out. Like P.J. Haggerty, very talented basketball player, but a very flawed player as well. And him being like the leader of your squad, like I could see K-State honestly having even a better conference record than they did last year.
They could. Well, that's not a very high bar, but I will say this about Casey Alexander and the portal and the recruiting. The problem is he didn't get the two best players from Belmont. And I don't have their names off the top of my head. I just know like the two best transfers that were coming out of Belmont to go places went other places. They didn't follow him to K-State. And so I think that had people a little bit worried.
I'll hit on the most liked team heading into 2027, the team that's going to be the best here this upcoming season, voted on by 100 Division I college basketball coaches. It's a tough conversation because we're just doing our Big 12 football previews. I mean, our countrywide basketball previews are definitely some time away here, but Florida getting over 50% of the vote, 55%. That's you're never going to see it unanimous, but that's a lot of respect.
That's a big number. I think it's fair, though. They've been a 1 seed 2 years in a row. They won the national championship 2 years ago. And they lost a lot off their national championship team. But then the guys that did come back got a 1 seed again last year, and most of them are coming back this year. Yeah. And so they've had a lot of continuity. They have Thomas Houck, who I don't think we'll get to it, but one of the other questions was who will be the best player in college basketball. It was him, right? Was voted 43%, and they have a lot of other guys to go with them. So I do think it's fair to assume Florida going into the year, some of these younger, talented teams could push them as the year goes on, though.
Tyron Stokes got 5% of the individual player, best college basketball player this upcoming season vote as well, and so he's worth mentioning. All right, let's get to this call on the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines. How are you doing?
Well, listening at you guys' conversation and how you guys are mixing college football and college basketball, man, you already got my basketball blood boiling, because when you get to thinking about it, it's like when that first football game starts, and this is what I have a hard time saying week 0. I just can't say it, because if you're a nationally ranked team, it's not an exhibition. It's for real. So I'm going to still call it week number 1. I don't care what nobody say, and they can come at me. I'll take all the smoke. Right, 1A. That's what. Get that patented, because that's what 1A.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know that they're even using the week 0 thing anymore, so you might be in good shape there, Anthony.
All right, but the fact that you're talking about basketball, and, I posed this question to Doug the other day, and I might have posed to y'all, maybe not the same way, but if you're Paul Mills, and I think it was you guys, because, I'm like this, whether we get the Kenyon Giles back or not, when I look at our roster construction and look at what we have coming back, I mean, that's a good core of players to build around anyway. And you got that upperclassman leadership. Then you got some redshirt guys, and then you got some guys in between. I mean, I don't see why this team isn't the top 2, top 3 team in the American Athletic Conference as it is right now. I mean, if you do get a Kenyon Giles back, I mean, as a coach, if there's a such thing as a good problem to have, then this would be a good problem to have, because now you have to sit your players down that you brought in and say, well, look, we got Mr. Giles back, so this is how we're going to do things now, because we know what we're getting back with him. But at the same time, if you don't get him back, you still know what you have. So, I mean, it's one of those situations, normally they say, damned if you do, damned if you don't, but this is one of those damned if you do, damned if you do type situations. So,
yeah, appreciate the call, Anthony.
That being said, I think the Shockers are in a good place, and I look for them to make a big stand on the national stage this coming up basketball season.
I agree. Shockers picked first in the American by most prognosticators. I will say this. I think that's fair from a conference standpoint. From a national standpoint, I think the projections are kind of closer to their floor than their ceiling. I think where they're being projected, like top 70, is as low as they'll go.
We'll read your comments on the other side.
This segment of the Press Box is brought to you by Wichita Clear Bra, the ultimate car care and protection. Online at wichitaclearbra.com.
The Press Box on KGSO.
40 to the 30. The Burgers are on.
High school football season is here. And it's time for you to pick up a copy of the High School Football Guide from the Mid-America Sports Network. Keep track of your favorite teams as they fight their way to the state championships. Find a copy of your High School Football Guide.
In Caldwell, Caldwell Farm Repair LLC and Canola. In Cheney, Benny's Burgers and Shakes. Cheney Pharmacy, Cherry Oaks Golf Course, Citizen State Bank of Cheney, DeMario's Pizza, and the Sedgwick County Electric Co-op.
What keeps you up at night? Do you wonder if what you've saved will be enough? If your money will go as far as you plan? Or whether your retirement will look the way you imagine? What worries you? Everyone's concern is different, but ignoring it won't make it disappear. This is Ron Paul. You may not be able to predict what comes next, but you can take steps now to diversify your savings with precious metals before uncertainty becomes urgency. My friends at Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit explaining how gold can help diversify your IRA or 401k. Just text the word SECURE to the number 989898. There's no cost and no obligation. Just free information to help you consider your option. Take the first step with Birch Gold. Text the word SECURE to the number 989898.
For over 55 years and 2 generations, the Southwestern Remodeling Professionals have been providing homeowners in the Wichita area with a truly unique luxury remodeling experience. From the initial consultation through project design and production, our team provides concierge-style service with a true focus on the best quality products and professional installation. Are you ready to experience something truly different? Give us a call today at 263-1239 or visit southwesternremodeling.com.
Every school pickup line has a main character. Most days, it's the kids. But once a year, a parent pulls up in a brand new Kia Telluride. And suddenly, all eyes are on Mom.
Is that the new one? I heard it comes in a hybrid now. I heard it has heated seats in all 3 rows.
And for a moment, the kids aren't the only ones in the spotlight. This August, let that parent be you, because Mom deserves to shine too. Or if it's your student's turn to get behind the wheel, find great starter cars like the K4 sedan and K4 hatchback. Plus, you can get 0% financing on brand new Sportage and Sorento models. And every new Kia is backed by our unbeatable 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Whichever model you choose, we have big savings on great vehicles for that main character energy, only at Midwest Kia.
We want to see ya in a Midwest Kia.
With approved credit, see dealer for details. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty.
Are you in need of a new dentist? Check out 316 Dental at 13th and West Street. 316 Dental is now offering same-day services with the addition of a second dentist. That's right, same day. The hardworking team includes 4 hygienists and stays open late to fit your schedule. 316 Dental accepts most major insurance companies. Ask them about their new patient special that includes a comprehensive exam and x-rays. They also offer implants and Invisalign.
Care that soars above and beyond the 316 Dental.
Okay, hold up. What is that?
It's new Tide Evo.
That little white tile is laundry detergent?
Yep, Tide Evo is a super concentrated laundry detergent that's built different because it's packed with 6 layers of cleaning power that fight odors, stains, dinge, and extra work. And it smells so good.
New Tide Evo. Love it or your money back. Money back guarantee issued via prepaid card by mail. See Tide.com for details.
For upcoming games, show lineups, and live streaming, find us online at kgso.com.
Went a little long that last segment. This one's going to be a mini. Little Jayhawk talk, cat chat. shocker discussion, whatever it may be. 522-1410. What's on your mind? Looking here to Facebook. Devin, you had said going back, or actually Devin Stibe, you chipped in here. You know, when you guys start spamming, you disappear from the chat for a little bit. I gotta scroll up. FCS Frenzy tonight. Devin Stibe, what's the matchup? You're talking about GTA 6. Oh boy. Can the UCA Bears beat UT Martin? UT Martin. You hear about those guys every once in a while, mostly in basketball. Good to see. Football's football, right? It's king. Devin Slang. Still blaming the Niners owners for the team's current injuries. John Huff, what's up, guys? John, good to chat with you, man. Devin, once again. Josh Jacobs should be suspended and fined. I'm tired of this crap. Oh,
that's
boy.
worth a little conversation, right? Jacobs was officially charged with 2 misdemeanors today, I believe, is the account that's coming out. His court date's set for like mid-November. So it's a question of, if the charges are happening, does the NFL step in and do a suspension, or is this one of those where they say, we're going to let the full legal system play out, wait to see what happens, and then issue a suspension? If that's the case, we could be into next year before that happens.
And even before a ruling, I think Jacobs is missing out on some reps, as GM Brian Gutekunst had said publicly. Look, Packers are preparing contingency plans, to play without Jacobs for the start of the season if the league hands down a ban. So I think this is bad news for Packer fans. You've already got a situation. Look, Parsons is still out. We don't necessarily know his exact return date, and those 2 misdemeanors that you mentioned, battery and criminal damage to property. This story going on earlier in the year, but it's not good to see the NFL players. This is like an annual thing, unfortunately, where a couple NFL players, a couple of key names, fantasy players that you would pick up on your team, get involved in stuff like this. And so you have, the fan perspective, Packer fans. They're not going to be happy with this. Inside that locker room, this is a major distraction that teammates, coaches, GMs have to now answer. If you're Jacobs yourself, maybe you're not going to play this year or miss some serious time. Your public image is stained, and then fantasy football owners, they don't want to draft you. They don't want to touch you with that big old stick.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to keep an eye on throughout the year.
All right, we got about a minute for you here on the hotlines. What's going on, man?
Hey, what up? I got to say, when is this going to stop is my thing. Like, this is an annual thing where we got NFL players beating their wives. I mean, it never stops. This is just another Ray Rice incident that just didn't get established in fall, and the woman is, saying, we're going to lose everything if you do this. It's just ridiculous. When does it stop? That's all I got to say. You guys have a good day and drink some more water.
You
Stay
as well.
hydrated.
Thanks for the call,
for sure.
Devin. So I agree with what Devin's saying, and I wish it never happened, right? And we don't want to see it happen. I will give kind of what the NFL might say to Devin, to respond to Devin, which is, there's 90 guys on these rosters in training camp. There's 32 NFL teams. That means the NFL is employing about 3,000 people, and they're all celebrities, meaning if something happens, if they get arrested, it's going to make news. And when you consider that, the number of cases, you might get that in a 3,000 person workforce at a factory, but you'd never hear about it. And so I don't know that it's higher than the general population, but I think we should keep that in mind.
And I think there's a little bit of a reality as well. Is like, you have athletes who are performing at a very high level in a very violent physical sport. Yeah. Some of these guys can't keep that just on the field.
All of what we said, though, doesn't make each individual case any more palatable. It stinks. Each case stinks. I just think you're never going to be completely rid of it. It's just not realistic.
Family over football.
40 to the 30. The Burgers are on.
High school football season is here. And it's time for you to pick up a copy of the High School Football Guide from the Mid-America Sports Network. Keep track of your favorite teams as they fight their way to the state championships. Find a copy of your High School Football Guide
in Conway Springs, Dixon's, Ebersol Mortuary, Farmers Co-op Grain Association, Hired Man's Grocery and Grill, Hawley Automotive, and Sheer Beauty Salon and Boutique. And in Derby, Collision Repair of Derby. It's time for you to experience the expertise in beer, wine, and spirits. With 2 locations across Wichita, Auburn Spirits is passionate about providing you with the most exclusive wines, unique beers, and world-class spirits. Whether it's for the big game, a night with family and friends, or any other special occasion, Auburn Spirits takes your celebration to the next level. Visit our east or west location in Wichita or find out more information online at auburnspirits.com.
Labor Day deals are looking good at Lowe's. Save $10 on 1-gallon cans and $50 on 5-gallon pails of select interior paint via rebate. Plus, get 2 2.5-quart or 3-quart mums for just $8. A fresh look and savings? Even better. Labor Day deals are on now at Lowe's, in-store and online. Valid through 9/9. While supplies last. Mum sizes vary by location and exclude Alaska and Hawaii. See store at Lowe's.com for more details.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
The best barbecue deal in town is at Hog Wild. Right now, Hog Wild is serving up a $5.99 meal that's big on flavor and easy on your wallet. Get a 1-meat sandwich, your favorite classic side, and a drink, all for just $5.99. Want brisket? Upgrade to our tender slow-smoked beef brisket for only $1.50 more. Pulled pork, juicy chicken, and hot links. Everything is smoked fresh, made daily, and piled high. This is real barbecue at a price that's hard to beat. When you want big flavor and a big deal, head to Hog Wild for the $5.99 meal deal today. Great food, great price, great barbecue. Join us for lunch or dinner or order online at gohogwild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 6 locations in Wichita, also in Derby, El Dorado, Hutchinson, and Salina.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue. Hog Wild, get some for you. But don't be late, we close at 8.
Nobody wins Friday night alone. It takes a team. Every player, every position, working together toward one goal. Renewal by Anderson believes in that same teamwork. Our design team, our craftsmen, and our installers, all working together to get your windows and doors right. Because a great result isn't one person's job, it's a whole team's. Renewal by Anderson, proud supporter of Wichita area Friday Night Lights, where teamwork wins.
There's always something happening at Halligan's in Wichita. Enjoy happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. Plus enjoy a different food and drink special every day of the week. From Taco Tuesdays to Whiskey Wednesdays to half-price burgers every Thursday. Great food, cold drinks, live entertainment, and the neighborhood atmosphere you've been looking for. It's Halligan's in Wichita, 1106 South Seneca, and online at Halligans.com. Come hungry, leave happy.
Why are interscholastic sports called the last classroom of the day? Because they teach students important life lessons like teamwork, accountability, and perseverance. School sports are so much more than a game. They're about developing the whole person. That's why they're an essential part of every student's education.
Encourage your student to participate in the last classroom of the day. Interscholastic sports in Kansas. This message presented by the KSHSAA and the Kansas Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
This is Wichita's sports station, K230BY, 93.9 FM, 1410 AM, and 99.7 HD3. KGSO Belle Plaine, Wichita. Broadcasting live from the KGSO studios in West Wichita.
I feel more informed when I listen.
This is the Press Box on Wichita's sports station, KGSO.
The Press Box on KGSO.
All right, who's hyped up for a little football? Big 12 previews, day 2. Coming your way now. Inside the Renewal by Anderson studios, expert installation done right on schedule. This is the Press Box on KGSO, your longest running sports talk station in the ICT. We are all over the place, folks. The SC Wichita app. Of course, you can find KGSO. Shout out to the sister stations, 99.7 Hank FM for classic country, legends of country, even playing some of the 2000s music, too. You got 1480 KQAM for some conservative news talk, 102.5 La Raza if you know Spanish. KGSO.com, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Drop your comments. And, of course, the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines. We want to hear from you, especially if you're going to be watching some college football this year in the Big 12. Yesterday, we begun the series. We did Arizona and Arizona State. I don't know if we'll reflect too much on those two teams today, but we got a pair of squads in front of us with the Baylor Bears and the BYU Cougars. Of course, we're going in alphabetical order, and we'll have this thing wrapped up by next Friday, heading into the real season, and we'll try to do TCU plays this weekend. We'll try to do them in tomorrow's show. Sasha, you ready to go, man, for hour 2 of the program?
Fired up, man. Let's go. Big 12 football.
We talked a little bit of college hoops in hour 1. We talked about the Kansas quarterback. Isaiah Marshall's going to be your starter. Maybe we'll play a little Would You Rather. We're going to talk with Paul Solentrop, though, from Wichita State University, coming up after this around 5:30. So, all right, let's get into Baylor to kick things off. Sasha, a little bit of a recap of the Baylor Bears season from a year ago. This was a team that was kind of projected around the middle of the conference with a ceiling of being maybe one of those top 5 or 6 teams, but didn't live up to it as they went 3-6 in conference play, 5-7 overall, just missing out on a bowl contest. Ended up losing 3 games there in a row at the end of the season, one of which was to Utah in a high-scoring affair. You lost at Arizona in the rivalry matchup, and even played against Houston and lost by a touchdown. This team had some interesting wins, though, on the year. They beat a ranked SMU team, 17th in the country at the time. They beat them in double overtime, 48-45. You took care of K-State. I remember that K-State contest vividly. There was a late interception by Baylor that really flipped that one on its head, and you got a nice waxing against UCF, 30-3. So you saw the highs, and you definitely saw the lows last year with Baylor.
Yeah, they lost 5 out of their last 6, so conference play did not go as anticipated. They won at Oklahoma State early in the conference season, which was basically a free space for everyone last year. And the game against K-State, really, K-State handed it to them. You mentioned it, but a late interception, and they really, K-State should have won that game. And so if that one doesn't go their way, then you're looking at 4-8, and really the only one in conference teams in conference they beat would have been Oklahoma State and UCF at home. So really kind of a disappointing year for Baylor, especially after winning that game against SMU and maybe getting the fans' hopes up a little bit for the season.
Just to kind of tell you a little bit more about last season, paired in with who they lost, look, Sawyer Robertson, their quarterback, he's no longer with the team. He had a 60% completion rate, 3,600 yards last year. Bryson Washington, the number 1 running back, he's not back. Josh Cameron, your leading wide receiver. Michael Trigg, your leading tight end. Those guys are gone. I'm pretty sure Hawkins, who is 3rd in yards, he's gone as well. So a big piece of this offense is players from around the country, coming to a program in Baylor who's looking to take a step up here in the Big 12, and you're getting, some guys who have, taken a big step forward in their college career. You're getting some guys who are maybe quote-unquote castaways, but Baylor, you kind of just look at their depth chart, their projected starters here, and I'm seeing 4 returners from last year's squad on the offense.
Yeah, the whole left side of the line, 2 out of the 3 receivers, the right guard, tight end, QB, all transfers, right? Not true freshmen coming in, or not even guys who were here last year stepping into a starting role. And then also, when you look at those 4 returners, that doesn't mean they were starters last year. It just means they were on the team at all last year. So not a lot of continuity coming back on the offensive side of the ball for the Baylor Bears, and it doesn't look much different on defense.
Defense, they actually do get 62% of their returning production, but it's the offense sort of in a 3-way tie here for the worst in the Big 12 Conference at 44% there with the retention rate of the offense. Looking here at some metrics, some projections here for Baylor this upcoming season, given a projected conference wins of 3.8, their chance at winning 6+ games this year is 60%. So looking to get an extra win, make a bowl game, and Baylor would love to go above 500 as well. Kind of getting into the 2026 season, you start off the year next weekend against Auburn. It's against Auburn. That was at a neutral location. I'm not exactly where that is going to be played, but it's a ABC game at 2:30 start time. You get an SEC test. I'm not going to say it's a loss on the schedule marked already. Who knows with Auburn year in, year out. You then got some layups, Prairie View, Louisiana Tech, Colorado is going to be a layup this season. I think you have a nice schedule the first half of the year. You got Kansas there on the road, Arizona State on the road, UCF on the road. But then the final three is the tough one here. 3 ranked opponents in a row to close out the season. We may see Baylor as one of those early Big 12 conference contenders. And then you've got BYU, Texas Tech, and even 23 Houston here in the mix the last 3 weeks in November.
The Auburn game will be played in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which you're right. That could be a loss, and I doubt they'll be favored in that one. But after that, you're right. Like, they have a chance to make some hay. The good thing is right, if you have the 3 ranked teams that you're going to play all year long, right? The only 3 ranked teams you're going to play all year long as your last 3 games. Maybe you've built some momentum by the time you have to play them, or maybe those teams don't end up being quite as good as advertised. And so if you can get on a little bit of a roll heading into those games, there's no reason you can't compete in those games. 2 out of 3 are on the road, though. Texas Tech's at home. I don't see Baylor having the kind of season where they're going to be competitive with Texas Tech that late in the season unless it's fallen apart for Texas Tech. So they'll probably have some roadblocks there at the end, but they have a chance to get off to a nice start, especially if they can somehow get that win over Auburn, which I'll see if I can get you a spread on that game since it is the first game of the year. That should be out by now.
Auburn's got to be favored, and that you mentioned it's in Mercedes-Benz, right? So that's going to be an Auburn crowd 100% on the East Coast. No doubt about it.
Yeah. But, Auburn's not, at least they're not the best team in the SEC. Auburn's favored by 7 in that game with a 59.5 over-under. So expecting some fireworks in that contest.
So this offense should be key. And I'm on 247sports.com right now. What's really cool about how they do their rankings is you have 2 different rankings here. You are actually 3 technically. You have a ranking that's just for high schoolers, right? The incoming freshmen. You have a ranking for your transfer portal rank, right? Who is out there in the weeds that you got out of the portal. And then you got an overall composite rank. And Baylor, for the class of 2026, heading into this season, was ranked 57th in college football. And their enrollees, it's very light. Like I can tell you, I've looked at KU's page, K-State's page, Arizona and Arizona State. Baylor, I think by far, has the least amount of enrollees in terms of young freshmen. They really hit the portal hard with 30 transfers. A lot of these guys are 3-star players. And look, DJ Lagway is going to be your starting quarterback this season. He's transferring in from Florida, where he's the starter there. This guy was a 5-star high school recruit. He's now dipped down to a 4-star transfer portal pickup, but that is still a massive acquisition.
That's a good pickup
for
Baylor. Yeah, that's a good pickup for Baylor, and he steps down at level in competition. And Lagway had flashes last year. Florida beat Texas early in the season. People remember that's kind of kept Texas out of the college football playoff. And so, if he can get hot, right, if he can play up to his potential, his 5-star billing, then Baylor might do a little bit more in the Big 12 than we're expecting.
And it's not even a slight of the Big 12. It's just that Florida, over the last couple of seasons, it's been statistically accurate. I mean, their strength of schedule is an absolute doozy. And you maybe say, it's just the preseason polls in the SEC, they beat each other up. But I think there's some legitimacy to it. I do think Lagway has the talent to play here in the Big 12. I think there's a reason that spread is so high that you were talking about in the Auburn game, 59. And so Lagway probably has already had maybe 2 starts against Auburn under his belt. And so it's not like, oh, man, I'm not used to this competition. He threw 14 interceptions in 12 games last year, and so that is a real critique. He's got a pretty bad touchdown to interception ratio for a career, which is 28-23, I'll be honest. But I do think if you are now all of a sudden in the Big 12, I think it's kind of written in stone. He's going to throw for at least 2,500 yards this season, barring health.
Yeah, he went for 22-64 last year, so I doubt he'd go down from there. So, yeah.
And then rushing-wise, Actually doesn't maybe scramble as much as you would think. 136 yards, 237 total in his career. So Lagway is going to be a major piece there for the Baylor Bears upcoming season.
Keep in mind, too, on like in college football stats, sacks count as rushing yards.
Right.
So that's why like he has a 1.9 yards per carry last year on 71 carries. But if he was getting sacked a lot, which he got sacked 19 times, I'm showing here, that all works against your rushing yards. So it might have been a little bit better than it looks.
Last two things here with the Baylor Bears. Let's start with the football school history. 5-7, as we mentioned, overall last season. They had an 8-win team in 2024. This team was pretty lethal in 2021, right after COVID, going 12-2, and that was with Dave Aranda in his second year, who is still the head coach. They won the Sugar Bowl that season. It's kind of like they just spark up every once in a while. You won 3 straight 10-plus win seasons here from 2013 to 2015. Of course, I remember Baylor having RG3 on the squad, winning the Heisman in 2011, but they had a brutal stretch before then. Pretty much all the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah, they
sucked.
They stunk until Art Briles came in, and Briles had it humming, and then some off-the-field stuff forced him out, and they've been just kind of treading water ever since.
Aranda was coaching a couple of different skill positions on the defensive side at LSU, but he's been with Baylor since 2020, and he's one of the longer tenured coaches in the Big 12 Conference. So Baylor, heading into this upcoming season, projected once again kind of a middle-of-the-pack Big 12 Conference team. Doing our Big 12 football previews, all 16 schools, 2 per day through next Friday. We'll have this thing wrapped up. Hey, Sasha, speaking of Friday Night Lights, you know what's in front of me right now, right? Everyone's been hearing about this thing in the break. This is our 21st year doing it. The annual high school football guide of South Central Kansas, the 2026 edition, is in my hands. If you'd like to put this thing in your hands, keep listening. I'm going to tell you some locations of where to pick this up, but this is a 64-team high school football guide, 200 words, give or take, previews for each school. We're representing the G-Wall, AVCTL, Central Plains, Central Kansas League, and beyond. A lot of work has gone into this from Sasha and I and the rest of the Stackline Communications team. We have our broadcast schedules here in this magazine as well. And so we've been just kind of going through day by day, segment by segment, telling you some locations of where to find this high school football guide. If you are going to be rooting on the Goddard Lions this year, pick up your high school football guide. John B. Barrett, attorney at law. You got the Rusted Bean as well in Goddard. Harder Physical Therapy, Davis Liquor Outlet, Johnson's Outdoor Power Equipment, Ecky Monument, Mayer Specialty Services, and Burwell Construction, to name a few. Also check out the Newton Railers, Salina Central Mustangs, and the Augusta Orioles. You got Charleston Insurance Agency as the location to pick it up there in Newton. So loving the high school football guide. It's cool to see the hard work turn out here, and we've already got some comments this year. People are picking up the guide and they're saying, "Man, this cover, it looks slick, man. It looks slick.
Slick cover. I love it. I hope people are enjoying the guide out there. I know people have been going out to some of the clients and asking for it, and we've got them in all those locations. You'll hear the promos running throughout the course of the day. You can also stop by the station here and pick one up if you want to do it that way, but we love to see you out at the sponsors, so find one of those sponsors that you can get the guide at.
And the great thing about the sponsors, guys, these are business owners who share the same values as you. You guys support local sports, so do they. Supporting their business, keeping the money here in Kansas is the go-to. All right, we did the Baylor Bears here in our Big 12 preview segment. We may have to do this one a little quick. It's BYU, and this is the best team in the conference that we have done up until this point. I think that's pretty undisputed. Guys, last year in the Big 12, BYU was sort of in the conversation of maybe being able to get to the college football playoff. Of course, they lost to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship, 34-7. This was an absolute doozy. But look, BYU had some clutch wins this year, or last year, 2025. I'm talking about at Arizona in double overtime at 33-27. You got it done in a rivalry matchup. Some call this the Holy War out west in Utah, as Utah was ranked. The Utes 23rd at the time. BYU got a 3-point victory over them. They did get swept by Texas Tech, though. They lost to them in the regular season and the conference championship game, but impressive wins throughout the year. Leaving no doubt against TCU, handling business against Cincinnati late in the season. The same thing at Iowa State. And so we're talking about a team that was 8-0, pretty high ranked at the time in college football. And considering they lost Jake Retzloff, their projected starting quarterback, halfway through the summer, and a true freshman of Bear Bachmeier wearing the number 47, does that. That was an impressive year for Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, when you look at the fact that Bachmeier was kind of a last-minute starter for these guys and what he was able to do and how they were able to perform, I don't think there's any reason. I mean, there's a lot of reason for optimism at BYU in terms of knowing Bachmeier is going to be there this year and knowing that through the whole offseason. And him, listen, he was a true freshman last year. He should only be better this year. And I would think significantly better. And you look at their depth chart, they don't have a lot of gold on the depth chart. They have a lot of guys that are back on the squad from last year, whether they were starters or backups last year. They were at least in the program. That should bode well for them. So I think, honestly, I said this about Wichita State earlier, maybe being like rated at their floor. I think this BYU football team, 14 might be like they might be able to go higher than that. That might be the floor of where they should be able to rank. That's what they're ranked in the AP poll.
Yeah, I've seen power rankings where they're in the top 8.
Yeah, and so that's kind of my idea is with the AP polls, 14 is like kind of a low end projection for BYU. I could see them getting up quite a bit higher than that.
Yeah, tied for 14th. Tied in the AP poll. My goodness.
It's a poll, Jay-Z. They can't prevent ties. It's a poll.
I can have opinions.
It's a poll.
Dude. All right, yeah, you mentioned the depth chart looking at BYU, and I just told you with Baylor how I was caught off guard by the lack of incoming freshmen. Look, BYU didn't bring in a ton of freshmen either. They have a lot of letters of intent here, by the way. I imagine that's a lot of guys who are now on missions. But let's face it, the retention in Utah, religious reasons, guys want to stay there, and so that really helps out the football team. Kalani Sitake is probably floating around top 10, if not already in top 10 discussions of college football coaches in the sport. Penn State really, really wanted BYU, and BYU said, no, we're not going to let that happen. Sasha, BYU is one of those teams that I never saw them having a real chance of competing in the Power 5, competing in men's college basketball, in football, of course. But when NIL got involved and a lot of people tied to BYU with serious money said, oh, we can make our sports teams finally compete with the best of the best around the country, they started salivating in the mouth for it. And we heard about, what's A.J. DeBonta making? Guys, the football team is getting some money too, and they've got a lot of talent. I think this is going to be a team that's right up there to compete for the conference championship. Of course, Texas Tech may be in a tier in their own, but BYU is the next best team that I think of here when it comes to this conference.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to argue against that. This is a team that only lost to Texas Tech last year, won every other single game on their schedule, including their bowl game. So until somebody else beats them, I think after Texas Tech, they're the class of the league.
They came through in the clutch. They won a lot of one-score games against opponents that were pretty similar to them, I think, skill-wise, talent-wise, coaching-wise in the conference. And so you can't maybe win those every season, but I think BYU, another year with Bear Bachmeier under center, I think this is going to be a team really seriously to make some college football playoff noise. Looking at their schedule this upcoming year.
They got a big one.
What's that?
They got a big non-conference game,
yeah.
October 17th. For real. Talk about a holy war.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to make a joke.
No, talk about a holy war. They've got a big non-conference game October 17th. They're playing Notre Dame. That's as hard as you can get for a non-conference game. So that's a way to make a name for yourself nationally.
Smack dab in the middle of the season to raise the strength of schedule. I thought you were going to toy with me. It's Utah Tech, my alma mater, kicking off the season with them September 5th, but that's certainly not a doozy as they're like a 50-point favorite or something close to that. Look, Iowa State, UCF, Arizona State, you got KU on the schedule late in the season, but hey, there's no Texas Tech Red Raiders on the schedule.
Yeah, which, listen, I love the fact that BYU has Notre Dame on their schedule. I love it for the Big 12 because if they lose it, it's kind of no harm, no foul. Like, Notre Dame is considered one of the best teams in the country already, and people are expecting BYU to lose to Notre Dame. But if BYU wins that game and they have the kind of season they had last year, now you have like real weight in the conversation for the Big 12 getting two teams into the college football playoff. Like, especially since BYU and Texas Tech don't play each other, if they're both going into that conference championship game undefeated or even one loss each, there's a good chance that both teams are going to the college football playoff if those are the two teams in the Big 12 championship game. So I kind of love the fact that they don't play each other, because then you're not playing a rematch if those are the two teams that come out through. And I love the fact that BYU has Notre Dame on the schedule.
And I'm not as high on Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish and Marcus Freeman. I'm just not. And so I feel like there's a chance where they kind of get a little shocked, right? Heading into that game, the toughest team they're going to play is Michigan State, I think, right? They got
Notre Dame's
Wisconsin.
schedule is ridiculously easy.
Yeah, it's dumb. And so I do think that's like the first-ranked test of the year. I actually give BYU a pretty decent shot to win that game. And if they do, you start thinking, man, is there the possibility the Cougars could even run the table with a schedule like this? I mean, you're not playing K-State. You got Arizona, which I think is sneaky tough, week 2, and that maybe be not a trap game, but a game that sort of sets the expectation, the bar a little bit lower for the fan base. But I think 11-1 is well in reach for BYU with no Texas Tech on the schedule here in 2026. Kind of just getting to a couple of other pieces here for BYU. We mentioned, some of their continuity. We mentioned Bear Bachmeier, but I think hand in hand with that is LJ Martin, who returns to this team. It's not common in this conference to see returners who put up 1,300 yards and then 250 in the air last season. LJ Martin's a guy who can give you 16, 17, 1,800 yards total from scrimmage this year coming up for BYU. So you can't count him out. And yeah, that's a well-rounded offense.
Yeah, it should be, right? They only have 3 transfers projected in the starting lineup for this year as it stands right now, and only 1 on the defensive side. So it's a team that performed really well last year, and they got a lot of the cast of characters back. That being said, they weren't expected to be that good last year, right? So they kind of caught lightning to be that good. And there's no guarantee that you get that 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And so while we say, like, hey, they could run the table or be a one-loss team, there's a world where Utah's better than them this year too. And so you kind of have to watch how they play early in the season, see if they're catching that lightning yet again this year.
I'm looking up, I think he's the longest tenured coach. He's got to be now with Whittingham gone, right? Yes, he's the longest tenured coach, active coach, football head coach in the Big 12, Kalani Sitake. They lost their top 2 wide receivers and tight end. They lost their leading tackler at safety, their leading tackler off the edge, and they lost their second leading tackler from linebackers. But I was telling you, Sitake's a proven coach here, but BYU is still a program that's kind of not used to. They're not familiar with competing for conference titles here in a conference like the Big 12. This team had the Bronco Mendenhall era where occasionally they would win 10-plus games, but you got to go back to that championship-winning season in 1984, the last time this team was like truly, truly relevant around the country.
Steve Young. There you go.
He got it done. Oh, man. We'll talk with Paul Solentrop next up. From Wichita State University. We'll talk some men's basketball. We'll maybe explore some other sports to ask him about. But Solentrop, we'll have a lot of fun talking with him this upcoming season, whether, Kenyon Giles is a part of it or Giles is not a part of the team. It's an ever-so-changing landscape in college sports. But had a big time once again today for the Big 12 preview segment. 4 teams in the books, 12 to go. We'll wrap this up with a tier list, I think, when it's all said and done. Record predictions, I'm holding my tongue for now. 522-1410, help close us out the show.
Call the Press Box now on the Maximum Outdoor Equipment phone lines at 522-1410.
The Press Box on KGSO.
40 to the 30. The Burgers are on.
High school football season is here. And it's time for you to pick up a copy of the High School Football Guide from the Mid-America Sports Network. Keep track of your favorite teams as they fight their way to the state championships. Find a copy of your High School Football Guide.
In Andover, Double JW Lawn Care. In Anthony, Anthony Liquor. In Arc City, Collision 2 Custom and Woods Lumber Company. And in Attica, Bulldog Supply and Dream First Bank.
Every school pickup line has a main character. Most days, it's the kids. But once a year, a parent pulls up in a brand new Kia Telluride. And suddenly, all eyes are on Mom.
Is that the new one? I heard it comes in a hybrid now. I heard it has heated seats in all 3 rows.
And for a moment, the kids aren't the only ones in the spotlight. This August, let that parent be you, because Mom deserves to shine too. Or if it's your student's turn to get behind the wheel, find great starter cars like the K4 sedan and K4 hatchback. Plus, you can get 0% financing on brand new Sportage and Sorrento models. And every new Kia is backed by our unbeatable 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Whichever model you choose, we have big savings on great vehicles for that main character energy. Only at Midwest Kia.
We want to see ya in a Midwest Kia.
With approved credit, see dealer for details. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty.
Wichita Clear Bra.
Hey, this is Sasha Bushka from KGSO's Press Box, and I've been working with the guys at Wichita Clear Bra for several years now, and I can tell you the staff is great and fun to be around. Wichita Clear Bra has been in Wichita since 2015, and now's your chance to join the team. Visit WichitaClearBra.com and see the open positions. It would be a great place to work, and you won't believe the cars that come through.
Wichita Clear Bra. Your quality auto spa.
Fall is rapidly approaching, and the ideal time to core aerate and seed a fescue lawn is September 1st through mid-October. Let the professionals at Meadowlark Landscape and Design give you an honest assessment of your lawn and its needs. They offer core aeration, overseeding, and dethatching services. Call them today, 316-880-0227, 316-880-0227, and get on their schedule for this fall. It's Meadowlark Landscape and Design, the trusted partner of Steckline Communications.
2 minutes on the clock, no timeouts. This is when a team's preparation shows. Every player knows their job, and they execute it fast, and they execute it right. That's how Renewal by Anderson approaches installation too. Our crews show up on time, work efficiently, and get it right the first time. Because your home doesn't need a 2-minute drill. It needs a team that's already prepared. Renewal by Anderson, proud sponsor of Wichita area Friday Night Lights. Expert installation, done right, right on schedule.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
KGSO Studio, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Expert installation done right, right on schedule. Find them online at renewalbyanderson.com. Keeping local sports alive. This is Wichita's sports station, KGSO.
She's the queen, and he's the one whose neck is in the guillotine. And he said, I'm a match, she ain't kerosene. You know she gonna burn down everything. She lost this in her pastime, and I've been burned for the last time. Time, whoa. I've been burned
Quit your burning. Welcome on back to the show. 522-1410 is the number. We expect to have a conversation here with Paul Solentrop in just a moment, senior communicator from Wichita State University. If not, we'll kind of dive into our bag of would you rathers, which are always fun to do. Comparing athletes in their careers. That sounds juicy. That's up my alley. There's some things going
I
on
got
in
some
sports.
random ones in there in the doc if we want to do that. But I mean, let's see what we want to do. I like that first one. I like that first one I wrote down, by the way.
All right, let's do it, man.
Let's just throw it out there, see if it sparks a conversation. I'm interested. We're kind of holding the phone lines open for Paul, but if he doesn't call in the next 90 seconds, then somebody else can call in and weigh in on this. Would you rather be a Hall of Fame kicker? And I'll give examples, but I'm going to start with just the criteria. Would you rather be a Hall of Fame kicker or a 15-year backup QB that got a couple of years as a starter? So an example would be like Jacoby Brissett. He's going to be in the league 10 or 15 years. He's starting every once in a while, but not really on a team that matters. He's starting this year for the Cardinals. Or Hall of Fame kicker Adam Vinatieri. Whose career would you rather have?
Let's see. I don't know if Brissett's a great example. Out of his 101 games, he's started 65 of them, but he has been in the league since 2016. I see what you're saying here.
I think it's a great example.
I almost think
That's
of
the guy I'm going for.
I almost think of like fictional backup quarterbacks, like an Alex Moran.
Or
from
we
Blue Mountain
could
State.
do even like Chase Daniel, who basically never started.
He's perfect.
But yeah, okay. I was trying to give it to like a little bit more of a boost to the quarterback side, but let's see if this is Paul. If it's not, we can keep talking about it.
Paul Solentrop, is this you?
This is me.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
What happened? Phone problem. Phone spots.
Oh, you're having some phone issues?
I guess so.
All right, let's see how it goes. If we're getting a tough connection, we might just save it for another time, but we can hear you okay right now.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, let me ask you this, Paul. Would you rather be a Hall of Fame kicker or a backup quarterback in the NFL? That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I guess backup quarterback, kicker, sometimes feels like that's an easier life, but that's a lot of pressure out there when you're knocking out to make that 42-yard field goal and time on the clock. I think I'd choose quarterback. It seems to be a little more fun overall.
Okay.
All right, Paul, senior communicator from WSU. Let me ask you about the actual substance here, and that is we'll start with basketball here briefly, and then we got volleyball and maybe cross country here to ask you about. But we of course know the 5-5 ruling. You know, Wichita State did announce that Kenyon Giles would come back, and then some changes were made potentially with the NCAA. There's still a lot of unknowns, but maybe I can ask you about what you know. Is Kenyon Giles still in Wichita? Is he still allowed to practice with a team in this current moment?
Still in Wichita. I'm trying to think if I've seen him. I know he's still around. Yeah, I don't know if I guess I've watched a little bit of practice, but I'm not sure if I've seen him out there or not. So that's a good. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he can still practice. But yeah, I think this thing is just going to go back and forth, and who knows? We may not know until maybe a game time decision, I guess.
So I'll ask this way: like, how long can this thing drag out before it becomes kind of like maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze? Maybe it's just more of a distraction than a help. Like, do you think Paul Mills has like a date in mind that he'd really like to know one way or the other whether Kenyon Giles is going to be part of this team?
I'm sure he would like to know as soon as possible. I would imagine they would give it, we've seen these eligibility things drag on. I'm trying to think of ones that we've kind of been through over the years. Well, Bijan Cortez and Ronnie DeGray both missed 10 or 11 games when they first came to Wichita State. I remember Clevin Hanna missing a couple games up in Kansas City. So there have been, these things can definitely drag on. I would think for a player the capabilities of Kenyon Giles, you'd be pretty patient.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, Paul, I will go to the hardwood and not talk about basketball here. I'm talking about kills, saves, pancake saves. Let's talk a little volleyball here with the Nets at Coke Arena. I'm seeing the Shocker Volleyball Classic scheduled to start tomorrow morning. Stephen F. Austin is here on the schedule as a matchup. Maybe Missouri State, Idaho State. Paul, what's special about the Shocker Volleyball Classic?
Well, usually they open on the road. It's been a while since they've had home matches this early in the season. I think Stephen F. Austin is the marquee opponent. They won their conference, the Southland Conference, last year. It's where Matt Breyer coaches basketball. So Stephen F. Austin won their conference last year. They are the preseason favorites. So Friday night's match will be perhaps the most attractive of the weekend, or it seems like it will be the toughest of the weekend. And it'll be the Shocker team has kind of been through a lot. They had some key injuries throughout the spring, most notably Sydney Dunning, who was one of their better players, better scorers on the left last year. She's out for the season, so it has kind of shifted to being a younger team. Several sophomores are going to have to play well, and a team where people who are stepping into new roles, whether they've moved positions or whether they're just going to be more heavily counted on than they were a year ago.
So, yeah, I'm seeing that Shocker Volleyball lost about 2/3 of its attack from last year, kind of the kills and the offensive ability on the squad. So just knowing what you know about Chris Lamb and his approach in the past, do you anticipate that he gives a lot of players an opportunity in this opening weekend of matches to kind of step up and show that they can fill the void, or do you think he kind of already has in mind who's going to fill those roles?
I'm sure there will be a lot of experimenting. I think the way he's termed it is he feels like 1 through 18, this is one of the better rosters he's had, very deep. But what you really need to do well in the conference, to get into the NCAAs, you need the top 4 or the top 8 to be to really take a step forward, to really be talented. So I think that's what he's looking at. The good news is they have Jordan Heatherly back. She's a setter, transferred here last season from Memphis. She's on the all-conference team, and so that's a nice place to start when you have an experienced setter like that. Around her, I think, yes, there'll be a lot of people, a lot of experimentation. If you're not playing well, if you're not producing, then there'll be lineup changes, definitely.
So, Paul, you're talking to an audience of folks who are Shocker fans, and some of which are season ticket holders for men's basketball. I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about how the ticket packages work for volleyball, and maybe the pricing of what potentially on those. And there's some cool games to go out and see this year for Shocker volleyball, especially you have a home and away with the Kansas Jayhawks, who are 15th in the country, and that's going to be the Yellow Out, the T-shirt giveaway as well, set for Tuesday, September 15th, and then you got the conference schedule starting shortly after that. Paul, what are some big draws to the volleyball team this year, and what are those season ticket prices looking like?
Yeah, Chris always assembles a tough non-conference schedule. That's always been one of his goals, and it has paid off quite often throughout the 27 years he's been there, with both getting an at-large resume if they've needed that, and then just kind of with the general testing your team and shaping your team. Playing KU, and they play them twice. They play them in Lawrence, and then they come back here and play at Wichita State. So that will be an attractive match for here in Wichita. And then you really get into the American Conference schedule. Rice will be very good. They won the American last year. They really have it going up there. Tulsa has made big strides. And they have been one of the better teams in the American Conference. Prices, you're going to have to go to GoShockers.com for that. I'm not able to pull that up off the top of my head.
Check out GoShockers.com. Check out some volleyball games this year. for sure. Roundhouse Podcast, you caught up with Ashley Holton and Katie Zimmerman from the team. What are one or two fun tidbits you found out from either of those players about the upcoming season?
I'm really interested to see freshman middle blocker Sophia Gilbert over the weekend. She's been off to a really nice start. And then probably the most important or the most interesting thing will be what kind of offensive alignment do they go with. They have a freshman setter, Addie Oath, who they really like. She was here in the spring, so she got a good head start on college volleyball. So they've run the 6-2. They've used those two setters in both fall practices and in the scrimmages that they've had. So it'll be interesting to see. I assume they will come out with that this weekend and how that works, and if they are able to stick with that. So those would be two things I would say if you're headed out to Koch Arena Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, to keep an eye on those items.
And then, Paul, any idea of what's to come up next with the Roundhouse Podcast?
Next week, let's see. I guess I don't have one scheduled for next week. I'm open to suggestions. A guy that I need to track down is former Shocker Sasha Radunovic.
Yes, track him down. And
familiar with him,
Paul. If you get Sasha Radunovic, you've got to arrange an intro there. I've been meaning to meet him since my first birthday, which he was at, by the way.
Is that right?
That's right.
I got his email, and I got it about a month ago from a former teammate of his, Tom Kosich, who remains a big Shocker fan, and Tom suggested contacting Sasha. So I've been kind of hanging on to that, and that might be a good thing for me to do tomorrow is reach out to Sasha. I think he was from Yugoslavia, if I'm remembering correct. I think he's over there. So I'll have to look into the time differences and all that kind of stuff, but he would be an interesting person to have on the podcast. A lot of people really fondly remember.
They did a good article about him in the student newspaper in the Sunflower, maybe over 10 years ago now, where they caught up with him, but I haven't seen anything about him since. So that would be awesome if you did that. That would make my day. I'll tell you that much, Paul.
Yeah, I would enjoy tracking him down, and I think people would enjoy that.
We got a Sasha connection at WSU, another Zimmerman at WSU. This is great with the names, and he is not Portal Paul, but he's the next best Paul at WSU as far as I'm concerned. Paul Solentrop, senior communicator. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Absolutely.
I think Sasha Radunovic is from the Montenegro part of Yugoslavia. It's split up into other countries now, so Montenegro, track him down.
That's a great backstory.
This segment of the Press Box is brought to you by Wichita Clear Bra, the ultimate car care and protection. Online at wichitaclearbra.com.
The Press Box on KGSO.
High school football season is here, and KGSO Sports Radio is your home for the Golden Eagles. Bishop Carroll is looking to flex their muscles out on the gridiron this fall and cause havoc in the Greater Wichita Athletic League. Tune in on Friday night as award-winning broadcaster Doug Downs and his team bring the action to life. Hear every touchdown, every story with Bishop Carroll football right here on 1410 93.9 and the SC Wichita app. Don't forget about the Tuesday night coaches show and the Saturday morning sports page for further coverage. Go Eagles!
Friday nights in Wichita mean one thing. Our kids, our teams, our lights on that field. Renewal by Anderson is proud to help light up Friday night lights across the Wichita area because we believe in the same things this community does. Craftsmanship, pride, and showing up for what matters. So this season, cheer loud, and when you're ready to bring that same hometown quality home to your windows and doors, call Renewal by Anderson of Wichita. Renewal by Anderson, proud supporter of Wichita area Friday night lights.
Do you need to get rid of some jewelry? Don't waste any time and stop by Phil's Coins and Bullion today. Phil's Coins will give you top dollar for any of your unwanted jewelry. Whether it's gold or silver, get the most out of the unwanted jewelry in your drawer and do it with Phil's Coins and Bullion, 9344 West Central Avenue.
Phil's Coins and Bullion. Phil'sCoins.com.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
When you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And there's no one that knows that feeling like Derby Allstate agent Mark May, because he works every day to get people like you the coverage they need with the savings they deserve. Contact him for your free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Are you in need of a new dentist? Check out 316 Dental at 13th and West Street. 316 Dental is now offering same-day services with the addition of a second dentist. That's right, same day. The hardworking team includes 4 hygienists and stays open late to fit your schedule. 316 Dental accepts most major insurance companies. Ask them about their new patient special that includes a comprehensive exam and x-rays. They also offer implants and Invisalign.
Care that soars above and beyond. 316 Dental.
Be the most knowledgeable or obnoxious. Yeah, be that guy. This is Wichita's sports station, KGSO.
Black is my favorite color. Makes me feel like we know each other. Blank tapes and posters on the door. Listen to my Pink Floyd cover. Take a seat like a backbeat lover. Mixtapes and cushions on the floor.
Just when you think this show is terrible, something wonderful happens.
What?
It ends.
I think a couple of folks watching the stream enjoyed our dance moves there in the break.
Everybody enjoys my dance moves when they get a chance to see them. It's few and far between, but I've been told I'm an excellent dancer.
I gotta see you bust a move after some liquid courage, dude. That's gonna be great. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I can only dream of that. All right. Final segment of the press box. And, well, that means it's closer to dinner time, and we'll tell you about
Taco Tico, it's all about the taste.
Taco Tico. It's your go-to spot for dinner. Bean and cheese burrito, 2 for $3. Third pound meat and cheese burrito as well for $2.79. Quality deals at Taco Tico, 13th and Tyler, 35th and Rock Road, Arc City, Newton, El Dorado, Derby, Augusta. TacoTico.us for online orders, where it's all about the
taste.
The taste. All right. We've made it to this moment, guys. 522-1410. You want to be like Paul Solentrop, who we just had on? Call the show on the Maximum Outdoor Common phone lines. All right, I'm looking at this. Maybe we'll do one more of your Would You Rathers as well, but I had to bring this up, guys. And I promise this doesn't have anything to do with, like, all-time basketball debates. This is just sheerly my opinion on this this specific circumstance. And I'm in support of what was going to be this handshake agreement, right? Maybe written in stone a little bit, maybe written down with some millions next to it, but we didn't really get to see it last year. What the heck are you talking about, Jay-Z? I'm talking about Michael Jordan and the deal he had with NBC last year. I remember talking about on the show when it came out last year, oh, this is going to happen. I remember the start of the NBA season. Jordan has a deal with NBC. He's going to make appearances on the network throughout the season. He's maybe going to be talking about current teams. He's maybe going to be asked about this or that. Look, Michael Jordan did do a sit-down interview at the start of last season, and then Sasha kind of pointed it at me perfectly when you told me before the show. You were like, wait a minute, I didn't really hear anything that came after that interview. Well, that's because that was the last interview that Michael Jordan did. There's no way there was only a one interview agreement in the contract. And look, Jordan must have found his way out of this because he is not expected to return with NBC for the upcoming season. It's kind of a bit of a stench. It's a bit of a bad look, I think, on Jordan's part, because Jordan, I thought, was kind of making the move to give back to the game a little bit, entertain the fans. Look, Jordan has tens of millions of fans, right, whether they're his shoes or his basketball ability, who have never seen Jordan play live, who, yes, they've seen The Last Dance. Yes, they maybe see a little bit of NASCAR on weekends where Jordan's involved, up to you-know-what. But look, I think Michael Jordan, kind of reattaching himself to the NBA is something that everybody wanted to see, right? I don't think there's people who just wanted to, tuck Jordan away into the closet and never see him again. No, we want to see one of the greatest players of all time be involved with the sport, and we didn't get that, and we're not going to get that going forward. I think it's kind of a crummy look.
I don't if you want to see Jordan, I can understand that, but I think from his perspective, Jordan is all about his brand. It is a brand, Jordan brand. It's separate from Nike now. It's a subsidiary and all of that, and so he's all about his brand. And I think for him, he sees it as him talking doesn't do anything to enhance his brand. If anything, the mystique is kind of the fact that you don't see him in the public eye that much. It kind of enhances the mystique of Michael Jordan and what it once was. And and it could be as simple as the guy just doesn't want to go on TV and analyze basketball. It's not something he's interested in. Now, if he signed a deal and then backed out of it, that kind of stinks. But as far as whether he should or shouldn't be an analyst, I think that's totally up to him.
Right, and he doesn't really owe it to anybody to be an analyst, but I think he owes it to the NBC if he signs a contract.
Right.
And of course, Jordan maybe wasn't the only one in his camp pushing for this to be a deal. You never just truly know. You can always speculate, but clearly maybe shortly after October, November, Jordan decided, hey, I don't want to really be a part of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I was unhappy with maybe how it went the first interview around, but you have a lot of basketball fans who are not gravitated towards the NBA here in this current day and age, whether it's for the style of play, whether it's for political reasons. People have their reasons. But Jordan was going to maybe, him getting involved with this was going to try to be used as a tool to try to lure back some of those old school fans who weren't maybe watching, day in, day out in the regular season. And we didn't necessarily get that. And so it's tough to say.
I think the biggest pocket of Jordan fans is around my age, people who were kids when he was in his prime. And I think the people who've written off the NBA altogether are mostly people older than me, right? And so I don't know that him being back would have totally brought a whole bunch of people back into the NBA. I think some of the people who just refuse to give it a chance are kind of before the Jordan era anyways, or they're around Jordan's age. But there's definitely some thought process that Jordan could have brought some people into the fold.
Right. It's like the Bird and Magic era, but I almost think it predates that a little bit. Maybe the people who are around watching basketball in the 70s. Basketball's changed a lot. I think the postseason brings a lot of physicality. I think there's plenty of entertaining players to watch throughout the NBA storyline, but whether it's Jordan, honestly, have it be Magic.
Yeah, and Magic's done a lot of.
Have it be Larry
Magic's
Bird.
done a lot of TV stuff. Bird doesn't really seem interested, but he did the coaching thing. I just think to each their own in terms of what you want to do post career. He just probably shouldn't have made people think he was going to do it if he wasn't going to do it.
Right. I thought we were going to see Jordan hop on TV live on the desk post game every once in a while. At least a few playoff games. It is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I hear Pratt Stevens wants to retire Jaylen Brown's jersey. There's already too many retired by the Celtics. Let's not do that. That's the show. Watch it back on Facebook. Have a good night.
Saturday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football, we kick off the 2026 season with the 14th-ranked USC Trojans hosting the San Jose State Spartans. Hi, this is Matt Money Smith. Join Super Bowl winning quarterback Steve Berline and me for all the action as Jaden Mayava and the Trojans host upset-minded Jabari Bates and the Spartans.